Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Yaps with Jay. I am the host, Janice, and this is episode 4. I can't believe we're already at episode 4. I'm so thankful for everyone that has been commenting and liking and sharing, the channel and the episodes, and for all the messages. I appreciate it, and I am very excited to just continue on this little audio diary of mine and building a community with you guys. So with that said, let's get into some housekeeping things. Please go over to my socials, my TikTok, my Instagram, and just give me a follow there just to see when new episodes will be dropping, or to see some teasers about new episodes, as well as subscribe to the channel and like and comment and send me your reflections. I would love to hear from you. So let's get right into it. So I think, as you can see, I'm a little bit more relaxed for this episode. And I think it's because the other 3 episodes were, like, even though I enjoyed what I looked like, but I'm kind of still playing around with what this, the aesthetics will look like, or the background, but I'm not trying to be a perfectionist. As I've said in the previous episodes, I just kind of, whatever I feel in that day, I think that's what I'm going to be doing. It is a little different for me to come on like this channel with no makeup on and kind of like a little bit more relaxed. But I think another thing that I'm trying to do is kind of just doing something that I feel, even though it feels a little scary, I'm just going to do it. And whether I like it, like if I don't like it, I can always just change it, So that's what we're trying to do here. And I think just because this episode, it feels fitting just being a little bit more stripped down, because it is way more vulnerable than what my previous episodes have been. And I think as we get into getting to know me more, you'll realize that I've dealt with a lot of things, and I'm really trying my best to not, like, to have those boundaries and to not overshare, but I know that some of these things do help people. And so that's just the objective of my little audio diary. But yeah, let's get into it. So I know if you've listened to episode 3, you know that I've been off of social media kind of for a while now, and trying to get back from, or trying to step back from the noise and from the need to be seen. And this week I want to talk about what comes kind of after that, what comes after the social media break, like this. So you decide to take the break, what happens after, what happens with the quietness, and when you log off, when the scrolling stops, when the audience is not there anymore, what is left? And that's kind of the question I've been sitting with this week. Is I've been spending so much time curating and posting and kind of positioning myself for strangers on the internet. And, obviously not all of them are strangers. Some of them are family members and friends, but I think majority of these people aren't like my close friends and my close family, who have seen the rawness, who have seen, kind of the struggles that I've been through, and who know the actual story behind who I am. But I think, most of us do that. Most of us post and want people to perceive us in a certain way, because I think rarely do people actually post things where you see the full picture. People genuinely just post things that they want people to see. And so that, like I said previously in my other episodes, comparing yourself to these people is not always the healthiest. And I think, it's something that I've said to myself, but not something that I truly practiced. Because again, they don't show you the full picture. You don't get to see how people get through these things, or if people are really getting through these things. So that is kind of like why I also ended up not being so much on social media. And but when all of that kind of is taken away, when you're without all of these things, without the feedback and the dopamine hits, I've genuinely had to ask myself, do I know how to see myself? And I know that sounds so cliche, but work with me. Just work with me. Not the edited version of yourself, not the version you think the internet would love, but just me, just the person I see in the mirror, just in the moment, the quietness and the honesty. And I won't lie, it's been uncomfortable when you've had to sit with all these questions. I think because when you've built so much of your identity around being perceived, then suddenly being alone with yourself feels kind of empty, and obviously until it doesn't anymore. And all of these questions that I've been asking myself throughout these weeks and throughout creating this channel, they've all been difficult and uncomfortable to ask, but they've all made me grow in a way. And yes, sometimes I have to pick it up again and I have to ask myself the question again and I have to go through the reflection again. But healing and growing doesn't happen just like that. You have to genuinely want to work at it, want to work through these questions. And, you won't grow if you sit with that uncomfortableness. You won't grow if you kind of shun it out and you ask yourself the question, but you don't genuinely think about what you're asking yourself. And that's the power of reflection. And, that genuinely is what I'm trying to do with this. I'm not just putting out this content. I'm not just, putting out things just for people to see me again. I'm putting out things so that people can reflect within themselves and that it gives me the opportunity to reflect within myself and grow. So again, whether people see it, I know that one person might be able to grow through this. And I certainly know that I am growing through this, through all of the episodes that I write and all of the reflections that I sit with and all of the questions that I sit with on a daily. So yeah, just if you're asking yourself these questions, I want you to think about what you're asking. I don't necessarily want you to go back, but I want you to think about these questions genuinely and honestly. And that way you're actually starting to grow. So this week, and not only this week, because I've been off of social media for, I would say, around 2 months, like fully off of it cold turkey. And, what I've learned through that is, like, without all of the noise of the TikTok trends and all of the needing to always show up on Instagram or on TikTok for people to see me, or to know that I'm alive or having a great time on a trip or wherever, and without the comparison trap of people's pages, I started to actually hear my own voice. And not the voice that is critiquing everything, not the voice that asks, oh, should I have done this or I shouldn't have done that, but the voice that actually says, you're doing okay. You're allowed to just be quiet. You're allowed to isolate. You're allowed to take time. You're not behind. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. That's the voice that I started to listen to more, and that's the voice that actually was a little louder than the voice that critiques everything. Because the Instagram and the TikTok and all of those, trends and everything, it kind of was feeding the voice that was critiquing everything, the voice that had negative thoughts. So when I stripped that away, I within my isolation period, I really genuinely was just focusing on the voice that was saying things to me that are the truth, And that's where the power was. That's where the realization of what I've been kind of going through, that's where it came from. So being off of social media also made me rethink what it means to be seen. And yeah, because sometimes I think my intention wasn't to get all the likes or the fire emojis or whatever. I think what it was is that I wanted to feel known. I wanted to feel understood. I wanted to feel valid. And I was outsourcing that from strangers on the internet. But what if being seen is seeing myself more clearly, right? What if the work is learning to validate me without waiting for somebody else to do it first? And I'll be real with you, I'm still learning how to accept myself in the quiet. I'm still learning how to not crave that little dopamine hit or that little, spark of attention when I'm feeling invisible. And I'm still reminding myself that I don't need to be on all the time to feel valuable. But I guess what I can say is this. I'm starting to feel way more grounded and way more honest with myself and with the people that genuinely know me around me. And maybe I even feel a little bit more free, not constantly having to see these things or feel like I genuinely feel like sometimes I felt so heavy after going like scrolling through TikTok, and it genuinely takes one video for me to feel like you know and I haven't felt that. In a really long time, and by really long time I mean 2 months, because I'm exaggerating. But being back on there and posting, promoting this channel, I haven't felt the need to actually scroll through it. Like, I post when I need to post. I make sure that, people see it, and if people comment, I reply. But that's about it. Like, I don't have the need to be on there constantly. So pat myself on the back for that one, because I'm genuinely proud of how kind of in tune I am now with what's going on around me, more so than what's going on, around the world. That's excluding news, obviously, because I know, like someone had said that, oh, well, you need to know what's going on in the world or whatever. And I was like, I can do that. My information doesn't always have to come from TikTok, which that was a big thing. I genuinely used to, if like anything coming out of my mouth, like, oh, I heard that happened. Oh, where did you hear it? TikTok. So my source of information was strictly from TikTok, which is not a bad thing, but people, like I said, it's very curated versions of people and things. So that was something that I needed to fix. So the birthday is officially here. I think what I've realized in this is that this chapter isn't really about me being seen anymore or being loud or proving myself, but it's about coming home to myself again. I know, cliche. But when I say coming home to myself, I mean finding peace within my own company, and also just letting go of the version of me that was built for other people, and just rediscovering what that life looks like for me, not for other people. That's where I'm at this week, learning to sit in the quiet, not run from it. Learning to see myself again without the filters and without the audience. And it's not easy. Like, it took me a few tries in the beginning of the 2 months, but it's worth it. It genuinely has been so worth just stepping away from that dopamine hit and that loop of comparing and that like negative, like kind of aura and just feeling when you're scrolling for and genuinely, I didn't even realize that I had been scrolling for like 2 hours on end, like without stopping. So it's been worth it stepping away from all of that. Yeah, so if you're feeling any of this too, if you've ever felt like you've lost yourself in the noise, just know you're not alone, because I have also been through it, and I think so many of us have been through that realization. And you don't have to keep performing to matter, because you matter to yourself. You matter to the closest people around you. Just always remember that first.